After their victories at the Alamo and Goliad, Santa Anna was feeling confident. He was very self-assured in his success, that Texas had not offered much resistance, that he had won easily, and so Santa Anna will divide his army into 5 groups to cover more ground, hoping to end the Texas Revolution quickly. Sam Houston, at the meantime, will join the Texas Army in Gonzales, and he realizes he has less than 400 men. He is greatly outnumbered. They also have no food. Only some of them have guns. Some had no guns. Some had no ammunition. So his army is not a very well-equipped army or even a trained one. It's just a group of men. Then, a week after arriving in Gonzales, Houston and his troops will learn about the fall of the Alamo from Susanna Dickinson. Houston knew his army was small, untrained, and ill-equipped, and that these soldiers were no match for Santa Anna's army. So as a result, Houston will order a retreat. His plan is that if the army retreats east towards the Louisiana border, this will draw Santa Anna further into Texas territory, making Santa Anna's supply lines longer, making it more difficult for Santa Anna to get supplies. And also, by moving east, this would give Sam Houston and his men more time to train and plan to turn themselves into a regular army that could resist Santa Anna. When Houston and his troops retreated, the people of Texas get worried. The settlers living between the Colorado and Brazos rivers are going to flee before Santa Anna's army. This event is known as the Runaway Scrape in Texas history. And in the Runaway Scrape, hundreds of settlers will pack what they can, and they'll take off, and they'll go and just leave their homes and flee. And they'll head east in wagons, some on horseback, even on foot. And hundreds of these settlers will flee before Santa Anna's army as the army marches after them. The Texas government will also move east. They will leave Washington on the Brazos and move to the town of Harrisburg, trying to put more distance between them and Santa Anna. As Sam Houston moves east, more soldiers are going to join his army. On March 25, 1836, at the same time he learned about the Goliad massacre, Sam Houston's army will have grown to 1,200 men. On March 30th, his men will make camp at a plantation near present-day Hempstead, Texas. For 2 weeks, they will train. They will practice, they will drill, they will learn to shoot. The Texas government is going to become angry because Houston isn't attacking Santa Anna. The government's worried because they're fleeing and Santa Anna's getting closer. And President David G. Burnett is most concerned about this. He will send Texas Secretary of War Thomas Rusk to Houston's camp to check on Houston, and Burnett gives Rusk the orders, if he feels like it, if he feels Houston is just retreating and too afraid to attack, that Rusk is supposed to take command of the army and attack Santa Anna. After Rusk gets there, though, he listens to Houston, he learns Houston's plan, and Rusk will agree with Houston and will leave and tell Burnett that Houston is the right man for the job. Meanwhile, Santa Anna is continuing to pursue them. One thing that will help Sam Houston out is on March 11th, he receives 2 cannons as a gift from the people of Cincinnati, Ohio. These cannons will become affectionately known as the Twin Sisters by the Texas Army. And so now Sam Houston has more men and he has 2 cannons. On April 7th, 1836, Santa Anna and his pursuit will reach the Brazos River. While Santa Anna is at the Brazos River, he will be delayed by some Texas resistance. He's wanting to hurry to catch the Texas government, and so Santa Anna is going to divide his troops, and he is going to take a smaller portion south, hoping that he can quickly capture the Texas government and end the revolution. Houston, now that he has his 2 cannons, will decide also that it is time to turn south and to fight Santa Anna. On April 18, 1836, Deaf Smith, who is Texas's scout, one of Sam Houston's main scouts, is going to tell General Sam Houston that the Mexican army was moving towards the San Jacinto River. Houston's army now totals around 900 men. He had the 2 cannons, and he had a cavalry on top of that. So he feels that he is ready to fight. Santa Anna has divided his forces, so he's reduced his numbers. Also, Santa Anna does not feel that Texas offers much of a resistance, and so at a spot in Buffalo Bayou near the San Jacinto River, Santa Anna is going to camp in the middle of a field. He'll have a swamp behind him with no real way to retreat because he felt that Texas wouldn't attack him and that they offered no resistance. On April 20th, 1836, the Texas cavalry and Mexican troops will fight a small skirmish. Santa Anna, though, now that he knows the Texans are there, he still won't do anything, and he will wait for reinforcements because he felt no pressure. On April 21st, 1836, General Coss will arrive with 540 men, catching back up to Santa Anna. This will increase Santa Anna's army to 1,300 soldiers. But Coss's army is tired. They had marched a long way to get there. They're hungry. And so again, Santa Anna, not feeling any pressure, will order a siesta. He'll allow his men to rest on April 21st, 1836. At 3:30 p.m. on April 21st, 1836, Sam Houston is going to assemble his men. And they're going to approach the Mexican camp unnoticed. Santa Anna had ordered no sentries or scouts to watch, again feeling everyone was just tired, they needed to rest, and he didn't need to worry about anything. As a result, again, April 21st, 1836, the Battle of San Jacinto is going to take place. Yelling the new battle cry, "Remember the Alamo, remember Goliad," Sam Houston's men will come swarming into the Mexican camp. The entire fight will last only 18 minutes. The Texans, it will be a resounding victory. For the Texas Army, their casualties will be less than 10 total killed or wounded. For the Mexican Army, it will be much more devastating. 630 soldiers will be killed, 730 will be captured. One of them who is captured is Santa Anna. He will be disguised as a common soldier. In an effort to escape, he dressed up as a common soldier. When the Texans captured him, they thought he was just another soldier in the Mexican army. But as they brought him into the spot where they were keeping the prisoners, the other Mexican soldiers began bowing down to him, saying El Presidente and Generalissimo, as he had told them they were required to do. And suddenly Texas realized they had caught Santa Anna. Santa Anna was then kept as a prisoner. The war is over now that the Mexican dictator and the general has been captured. In Texas, President Burnett is going to take the Texas government to Velasco. Santa Anna will be brought there where they will sign a treaty, what is known as the Treaty of Velasco. And the Texas government and Santa Anna will actually sign two treaties on May 14th, 1836. The first one is what's known as the Public Treaty. In this treaty, Santa Anna says that he will never fight Texas again. He agrees that Mexican troops will leave Texas and that Mexico and Texas would exchange prisoners. And finally, the fourth part of it said that all property taken by the Mexican forces would be returned to Texas. The secret treaty is the second treaty. This one isn't published or is well known. And in it, Santa Anna agreed to convince Mexico's government to recognize Texas as an independent country, and it said that the Rio Grande was now the boundary between Texas and Mexico. So with the Treaty of Velasco, Texas is now its own independent country. It is no longer part of Mexico, and we now have the start of the fourth flag over Texas. Because of the secret treaty, though, there's still going to be tensions between Mexico and Texas that are going to impact Texas as a republic.